Counting backwards from 3, 2, 1. All right, it is Tuesday, and you know that is your favorite day of the week because it's now time for Comic Book School Live, the time where we get down and talk about the craft and business of making comics. And, you know, we don't do this often, but I just thought it would be really fun for us to do a live inking demo so you can actually see part of the process. But since it's so challenging to work and talk at the exact same time, we brought in some color commentary. Speaking of color and commentary, the very colorful Mike the Knife Fasolo. Mike, you're very colorful tonight.
Am I? Yes, I have red and blue, and it's a very dippy neck shirt.
Some would say you're wearing red, white, and blue.
Yeah, I suppose you could.
You got the beard is white, the shirt is red. You're super powered.
Oh, I wish.
So, Mike, we're about to try something that we've always wanted to do, which is naked knife fighting.
Okay, I'm in.
Huh? That is not what we're doing at all. But we are doing something equally as dangerous, which is we are streaming from multiple parts of the globe to show you how the craft of inking is actually done. How does that sound to you?
That sounded pretty awesome. I'd always wanted to see how inking was done.
We actually have a fairly packed audience today. Comments already came in. I'll be showing those. But first, let me introduce you to our inker who will be showing us what he does as a professional inker. Please welcome Roberto Poggi, who's dialing in. Wait, before we start the applause, dialing in from Italy. It's 2 a.m.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hold on. I can do a little bit louder cheer for him. How about this one? There you go. So, Robbie, thank you so much. You said that you wouldn't have any problem getting on the Wi-Fi because everybody is asleep in your house, right?
Yep. even my kid.
Yes. Anybody in Modena, Italy right now is probably asleep except for you.
Yeah, probably.
Now, Modena is the home of Ferrari. Am I right?
Yes. It's really close to my house. Maybe 2 miles from here. Sometimes I can hear the car driving. It's amazing.
We probably should have gone there. Oh, Ariel Olivetti left a quick message. Face blue smiling. So he's very happy.
You should have had him ink while he was driving a Ferrari.
He should have inked while he was driving a Ferrari.
I could try.
So somebody from Facebook user, we don't know who you are. It says hi, buddy, and Mike and Roberto. And of course, Darren Sanchez, dialing in from New York, saying hello. But wait, we have somebody else here. This is a pretty crazy night because we've also brought with us Mark McKenna. Hold on, Mark. It's not easy to get the cheering queued up. Now, Mike, you don't know this, but Mark and I worked together, not together like on inking something, but when I was writing Deadpool, Mark was inking it, and I actually had seen Mark's name many, many times in comic books that I read, and I got to meet him and work with him, and we've been friends ever since. So, Mark, you're dialing in from what is considered Central Jersey, Mark? Is that a real place, or is that real?
I can confirm it's a real place. And I'm right in there, Long Hill, New Jersey.
So, Mark, Central Jersey is a real place. So, Mark, I was trying to look up all of your credits, Mark, and it got a little crazy. And you said at the start of the show, and I'm going to be pulling up the PowerPoint, Mike, which I had to restart because my computer crashed, because that's a feature in Windows.
Your computer's been having trouble lately.
It always has trouble. Mark, you've inked what, 12,000 pages?
Something to that effect, yeah. So on comics.org, I have over 1,000 credits, which I have a feeling a lot of that is reprinting in different countries and collections and stuff like that. But there's over 1,000 there, so I don't know.
Mark, when did you start inking? You've been at this game for a long time.
So 1985, I was working on staff with John Romita. Called me up and hired me to work on staff and production. So I was doing art corrections with Marvel in 1985 and 86. And then in 87, hey, Jared, is it Jared?
Jared?
Yeah, hey. So, and then DC called me and offered me Dr. Fate in 1987, and I stayed on I was on contract at DC from 87 to 91, and then Ralph Macchio called me up at Marvel and offered me Doctor Strange, so I went back to Marvel.
Oh, so you went with all the mystical characters there for a little while.
I was doing Doom Patrol, and I was doing Legion, and and then I went over and did Doctor Strange, Nomad, Darkhold.
Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull up. I made some graphics, Mike, because I felt like the guys would like that.
In the last 5 minutes.
Yep, tonight we're going to be doing some
pretty good one.
work. Yeah, this one. So we'll start with you, Robbie, because, well, actually, we're on you, Mark. So we'll be staying on you. So I think you did a long run on the Exiles, with Jim Calafiore, right?
Yeah, I did, I think 39 issues on Exiles from 1 to 100. 39 or 40 something. Yeah, that was my longest run in any comic. I did 16 issues on Punisher, 14 issues on Doom Patrol. I was on Iron Man for a year, Doctor Strange for a year. But it seemed to be a year. Everything was a year,
Well, I will tell you, Mark, probably the thing that excites me most is that you worked with me on Deadpool. You did a great job. But you're also a publisher, Banana Tail, Combat Jacks. We'll jump into this a little bit while Robbie's inking, but this is some recent work. You're a publisher. You do a little bit of everything. You're kind of the Renaissance man of this phone call.
Yeah, well, you're right there with me, dude.
Well, I'm not the only one Renaissance man per call, okay. Mark.
So, I want to point out that Robbie is the before and after. He's the before, I'm the after 38 years of inking. He's got the goatee, but it's brown. I got white. You don't have glasses. I got glasses.
So, Robbie, speaking of, Robbie, I see you're on fire on Instagram. You're on there all the time posting amazing stuff. And I have to tell you, when I went in and looked at all the work that you did, I was just blown away. For such a young guy, you must be constantly working.
I'm not so young. I seem so young guy. No, yeah, I'm lucky because I think today it's maybe 2024 will be my 10th year in Marvel. And yeah, wow. I worked on a lot of different characters, and it was amazing for me. It's something like a dreams come true, and I really would love to be an inker for all my life, for sure. I can improve every year because looking at different inker artists, I can always find a new way to maybe add some new skills, some new textures, even with Mark maybe. And yeah, why not? And also, what else? I think that sometimes in these last years will be more difficult because every artist is trying to jump on digital art. So there will not be a real kind of inking process. The artists jump from sketches to final draw.
Finished art.
Yeah, and so probably the inker will not be anymore a rule in the process, but Yeah, I would love to be the last one in this business.
The last inker.
I have to
Yeah.
say though, Robbie, I've been hearing that for 20 years that the
Oh,
inkers are going by away, but they're still here. You know, you're here, you're doing great. You know,
oh yeah, really? Even 12, 20 years
yeah.
ago, what was the
I,
same?
there was a guy who owned a comic shop in New Brunswick. His name was Ron Jordan, and he owned a comic shop called Comic Books and Fish Hooks. he was selling
Oh,
he was selling worms and comic books, so you could go fishing, or you could buy comic books there. And he said to me, "Inkers are going away. You're not going to have inking." But that was over 20 years ago, and you're doing well, so good for you.
oh, and I have a question for you, man. How many inker there was 20 years ago in the business?
A lot more than there are now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody had. Two things happened, right? In my mind, once when I worked on staff at Marvel, Jim Shooter was the editor in chief, and Jim Shooter used to say, "I want people to be near New York City because if I have to have problems with the work, I can bring them right into New York
Okay.
and they come right in the offices and work." But because of the World Wide Web and the way things changed, you know, now you could be in Italy, you could be in South America, you could be anywhere in the world, and you know, everything is quick, instant.
Yeah.
Whereas we used to have to ship everything in through the Federal Express, right, or
Yeah, yeah,
mail,
yeah.
slow mail, snail mail, and because of the digital, you know, Marvel and DC are saving, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars in shipping costs because now you just send it a high resolution scan through the computer.
Yep.
It changes everything.
All right,
So
here's what we're going to do now. We promised people a demo, Darren. So, Robbie, we're going to put you in the back room so you can reset your camera. And then
Okay.
we're going to talk with Mark so that, Mark, you can continue that thought.
Mhm.
Robbie, we'll see you in a couple of minutes. I'll see you in the
Okay.
backstage. Just wave when you're ready. All right, here we go. So, Mark, Darren Sanchez said The Last Inker sounds like an epic kung fu movie. Doesn't it? It does. So,
Yeah.
Mark, I did not realize, honestly, until I was looking up your work, just how many books you've done.
Yeah.
And I think it was 800 plus credits at Marvel.
Wow.
I don't even know. I honestly, when somebody tells me that you've done this much work, I honestly, at one point in my career, I actually opened up all my long boxes and pulled the comics I worked on, and I was counting pages. It was a little crazy, but
Big stack.
it was.
So, Mark,
Yeah,
one of the things that Mike and I try to drive home, and you don't know this, Mark, but Mike is a 3-time Emmy Award-winning television writer.
awesome.
And you don't know this, Mark, but I write comic books. You don't know that. But one of the things that we drive home is that the keys to long success include building relationships, being dependable, being nice, right? You want to just talk a little bit about that as Robbie gets set up?
Yeah, one thing I'll tell you off the top of my head is that editors will remember the bad job you do or the deadline you drop so much more than you making 25 in a row. It's the one that you don't do. In the beginning of my career, I was working on Iron Man. I was working on The Punisher. I mean, this is now after about 4 or 5 years. I was hard to turn down work because when you turn down work, a lot of times the editors wouldn't call you back. Just, you would like to think you're on an honor system and you said, listen, I can't do this, from being honest with you, versus take on the project and then dropping the ball. But there was, I actually had a guy, Mick Gray, who was, I don't know if you guys know Mick. Mick worked with J.H. Williams. There he goes.
All right. No, finish up the story, and then we're gonna finish. Actually, Robbie, why don't you get started, and I'm gonna make that big. And Mark, as he's putting the glove on and that's not it.
Wrong button.
It. All right. So, what's he doing with this glove, Mark?
Well, I guess, is there a glove? He's wearing a glove. I've never worn a glove. He might be driving a Ferrari. I'm not sure. He's actually, if you look at the glove, it's on his hand that leans. He's a righty, and he leans on it, and he doesn't want to smear his pencil work. Oh, but that's a blue line, isn't it, Robbie?
Yeah, it's a blue line.
So you guys are familiar with blue lines, right? Everything has changed now. We're not working on just pencils anymore. We're working on blue line pencils, which, our scanners are, the high res scanners can print out these blue lines. And what happens with the non-repro blue ink is that the blue disappears when you put it in a printer. But visually, it's there for the inker to see where he's going with the ink. Now, Robbie is doing his outlining first, but you can see the blues on there where he's going to be adding blacks later. And he's also looks like he's practicing with his crow quill. You got a crow quill, Robbie, going there? A nib. So he looks like he's, even if you look at right below the skull, there's a lot of blue there. And I think he's probably just practicing to make sure the nib is working. Because a lot of times you'll take a new nib and there's a coating on the nib. So you practice running it on underneath a glass or something, like literally a drinking glass. John, I used to take in a bottle of Pro White, and take the nib and run it on the bottom of the Pro White, glass jar, just to get it running well, because sometimes when you dip it in ink, you don't get the reservoir's got to build into holding the ink, so it's a tricky thing. But if you look at some of Robbie's work there, it looks like he's just scribbling around a little bit, just trying to get the thing to get the comfort level.
So, Mark, I see Robbie, and I've seen him do this even when we were doing it backstage. He turns the page. Yeah. Is that something that inkers do?
Yeah, I was a big one. You can't take the page down because, and he's a righty. So a lot of your ink lines come from your elbow and your wrist. Okay. So, and I was always one to pull left to right. I'd go, of course, it's backward on the camera, left to right. So if I'm not going left to right and you're forcing it going right to left, the lines aren't going to be as smooth or consistent. See, he's even doing that right now. He's going left.
Wait, so it's easier to draw left to right than right to left?
To ink.
To ink?
If you watch Robbie's hand, below his camera, don't make a liar out of me, Robbie.
Well, he's also drawing up as well a little bit, and I think the angle's a little weird on because we're looking at a web.
Yeah. But I used to watch over John Romita Sr.'s shoulder, and this guy could ink left to right, right to left, up to down, up and top, and it's incredible what he could do. But I'm a page turner. I turn a page because, my comfort level with. See, he's going up now.
So, Mark, do you mind if you answer a question from the audience real quick?
Sure.
The question from the audience from Jared is, in general, do inkers add much of their own quote-unquote surface rendering / cross-hatching, etc., or is it kept exactly like the pencils?
So the easy answer to that is that it depends on the pencil or artist, right? I got to ink Herb Trimpe on a Thor annual back in 1990 or 91, and he was very loose. And I had to take his loose pencils and interpret them and add all the rendering and things like that. Whereas somebody like Mike McKenna that I worked with for 10 years, Michael put everything down, including the nose hairs and the guy's nose. So he was very specific. And here's the other part of it. If you're a pencil artist, you spend all day drawing something. You don't want some guy screwing around with it and just, trying different things, unless you're going to enhance it, make it better. But I always trusted the pencil artist to know exactly what they were doing. If they're going to spend 7-8 hours on a page, I'll be damned if I'm going to be sitting there, shorthanding their stuff or, inputting my own.
So, Mike Fasolo, what do you see in here? You're like you're really watching here.
I am, because I had a question of how does he know which different type of pens to use in the different sections of the artwork?
Yeah, well, he's probably got a few different marker sizes, right? They run 005, then 01, 03. He's got a lay pen there. And see, you can see the tips on them. They're thicker and thinner. So he's doing the fine detail. A lot of times the faces are done with the fine detail because, you want it, it's very nuanced, possibly. And he's also responsible for putting the lights and the shades in there, light sources and things like that. Sometimes the penciler adds it. Sometimes it's the inker's job to go in and elaborate and bring a light source into it. But I was a big fan of, when it came to faces, going with fine markers and building them up.
So is all that blue stuff on the picture, that's all going to get completely blacked out with the ink?
Yeah, he might interpret it as put a little bit of texture in there, but predominantly that'll be a lot of black. Yes.
This looks like a lot of work, Mark.
This is a lot of work on this page. Robbie's hope he's getting a lot of money.
Now, Mark, when we are looking at this, is he getting these pages, or is he somehow printing them out on a printer? Like, is he actually inking a board?
Yeah. So, great question. What Robbie's getting is, I don't know where the penciler's from, but what he's doing is he's getting the art, I don't know, through an FTP site or a Dropbox, probably at 400 DPIs, right? Dots per inch, and he's printing out the blue on a board that he likes to work on, right? So it could be a cold press board, which has a little bit of tooth to it, or a hot press board, which is very smooth. That's interpretation on the inker, right? Because he's the guy who's inking and making sure.
What do you prefer, Mark? Do you like?
I like a little bit of tooth. The problem with a slick paper, a hot press paper, is it takes longer to dry. So, and here's another thing that's interesting with Robbie. He's in the meat and potatoes of the page already, whereas in the top panel, it's just a setup panel with, buildings and stuff. So he's right in there digging in with the big stuff. Now, see what he's also doing? He's kind of going left to right, but he's going up top to bottom, bottom to top. So
that's a more natural motion, Mark.
For him
motion?
It is, for him it is.
Now, this looks like a Ghost Rider page, and it looks like someone else. See, it doesn't really come together until he's bringing those inks. What if your penciler, like Herb Trimpe, isn't giving you quite a lot of information? How do you tackle the page?
You really need to talk to the editor and pick their brain to make, also we get more money, right? Well, I don't know how things have changed that way, but when we were doing what they call breakdowns, Herb Trimpe was doing breakdowns. He was doing Thor and Hercules, but he wasn't putting the textures, the muscle texture or the hair. He was just doing, a block of hair versus doing the nuanced, locks of hair. So we would get more money. I think we got something like $25 or $35 more a page when there was looser pencils, or what they call breakdowns. A lot of times, I would like to talk to the guy that drew the page and see what they're thinking of. What are they looking for? Is there a style they want? Do they like rendering? Jim Calafiore. Jim, first time I worked with Jim, I think it was on Aquaman or something, Armorines for Acclaim. And Jim says no. He would say to me, no rendering, because I would want to render off of the musculature or something like that. When I say render, I'm talking about feathering with these thick to thin lines that you put down. But Jim would tell me no rendering, which means he wanted solid blocks, and it took me a little bit of time to figure that out. But of course, I was friends with Jim, so we spent time talking about it, and I understood him after a while.
So, Mike, what are you seeing here as we're going, as this starts to come together?
I'm just fascinated by this, because now I want to try it.
You want to try what? You want to try?
I want to try it. It would come out absolutely horrible, but I'd like to give it a shot anyway.
All right, Mark, that's a really good segue. Mm-hmm. Someone who would like to try their hand at inking, where can they get some artwork, and what pages should they? What kinds of pens and quills or whatever should they start with?
So, I mean, it's easier to work with a quill than it is a brush, just because the quill, the nib, the speedball, the dip pen gives you a solid piece of metal that has a reservoir and you're working with a pen point that when you lean on it, it spreads wide, right? So you get a thick and thin based on how much pressure you put on it. You guys understand that, right? You can do a real fine point, but there's nothing really interesting about it doing a single line like a marker line. So you should get yourself some. The industry standard was a Speedball 102. Used to be Gillette, or Gillette used to, or Gillette. Am I thinking of the shaving cream?
That's
No,
the razor.
yeah.
That's the
There
main
was
thing.
there was I think Speedball bought the 102s. So the
Now, Mike,
102s.
speedball is not what you usually take on a Saturday night. That's a completely different
It's not
speedball.
Yeah. Speedball was the company who did a lot of these calligraphy. Actually,
Rapidograph too, right, Mark?
Kohinoor did the rapidographs.
And right now they're using Marvi Uchida. He's using the Le Pen. So, Mark, we're gonna come back to Robbie in a minute and just sort of close out. Oh wait, a question from the audience, a guy that you know, Darren Sanchez asks, Mark, were you a fan of Zipatone back in the day, or even now, Mark? You can still be a fan of Zipatone if you want.
Darren, I still have a lot of Zipatone. I put a lot of times I use the lines and the dots per inch to do on sketch covers and stuff like that. It's always good fun because you can get these gradations, and you don't have to sit there and just sit there and render with a pen or a brush. Yeah, I was a Zipatone guy. When I'll tell you a funny, quick story about that. When Jim Shooter was the editor-in-chief, he was trying to. You got guys like Tom Palmer and Joe Sinnott and guys that we kind of grew up with, and they had, because it's comic books, they were putting black backgrounds, black foregrounds, everything kind of was black in the foreground, black in the midground, black. And Jim Shooter was trying to make this fine art, and he used to put white Zipatone. He had everybody on running around scared, trying to get everybody to show depth in comics. Like he would say, look at the mountain range in the background. See, it's not how crisp a black it is, but the stuff in front of you is a crisp black because of air follicles and things like that. So he would say he would have all of us guys in production putting white Zipatone on anything that was in the background to soften it. But yeah,
is that what happens when a writer tries to tell an artist how to do their art?
Sounds like an epic fail to me, but
it does sound like an epic fail. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. Robbie, can you hear us in Modena, Italy right now? Robbie?
Sorry?
Okay, so we're gonna come back to you now. Do you want to just hold that art up and show us a little? You can give a little final commentary, and Mark, he's going to give you a better view of this if you'd like to. So you want to hold that up to the camera, or move the camera toward the art? Yeah, that's it. So, Mark, you want to talk about what you're seeing here?
See, I'll tell you what I do like. On the piece right below the skull, Robbie, see that large blue area? That is the leg. The knee is on the left side of the skull, and he put some rendering in there instead of going pure black. Which, if you look at it, it looks kind of nice because he broke up the black. You see what I'm talking about in the thigh there?
I do.
He did some rendering there, and he rendered. And he can mess around a little bit more, which I like that. It's showing nice texture there. And then it looks like he rendered off of the shoulder, and he did. If you look at that goblin's head, he's showing like a little bit of as the top of his head starts to go back. He's showing some rendering, which if there's a good colorist there, he'll understand what's going on there. The skull is beautiful. He rendered off the beautiful job with the teeth. It's just a really pretty job, man. Looking great.
Robbie,
thanks a lot.
So Robbie, are any other details that you would like to point to since you were doing the work and weren't speaking? Can you just talk a little bit about what you were trying to accomplish?
So do you mean what I have to do, or what I already did?
What you already did.
Okay, so I use some really small pen, like 0.05 for the teeth, and I use some different kind of pressure of brush for the body of goblin, because the brush make the line being more modular, so I can use the pressure. And for example, uh, mm, just a second. For example, if the light is coming from here, and we can know that the light is coming from here because all the black area is in this part of the head.
Right.
I could maybe use a big pressure of the brush here to make a big line, and I could use a really small pressure of the line here, so the colorist can know that the light is coming from the from the from the upper from the up of the page, because
Yeah.
it's I know that because I read the script, and it's night here, and there is a moon who is making lights on the graveyard here. So I need, as inker, to make the colorist know about what he have to do, and also I have to make the reader, the person who read, knows about it, just looking at the ink, using different kind of pressure. And not just this, but I have to make the reader know what kind of stuff I'm inking. For example, if I'm inking Red Goblin, I will use brush. If I'm inking the skull here, I will not use the brush, because the skull is just made of bones. So bones are not how can I say that, are not there are more angle, and not just like muscle or this kind of stuff. So for the skeleton, I will use just pen or maybe nib, and I will make more angle stuff, and not just the modular line with the brush.
I love this, Mike. We have a question from the audience, and then I want to get your final take on this, and then and then Mark's final take. Jared Elvin asks, and this goes to both of the inkers. Jared asks, how long would it take you to ink a full page like that in general? Robbie, why don't you go first? How long would it take you to ink this entire page, Matt?
So this is a splash page, and probably the splash page are a little bit faster, because there will not be too many, for example, buildings in the panels. So maybe a page like that will be 6 hours, or maybe 5.5. But in general, I will spend 7 or 8 hours for a page, a regular page.
Wow, Mark, how about you? What would your estimated time be?
Pretty much the same thing. A lot of times it comes down to the deadline, right? If you have to ink
Yep.
21, 22 pages in 3 weeks, you know what your math is. If you have 2 weeks to do it, you have to double up. And I'm sure Robbie doesn't get a lot of sleep when he's on deadline, right, Robbie?
Yep. Sometimes I always say that for example, if my work is 3 weeks for an issue, I will probably work like a part-time work, just 5 or 6 hours for the first week. The second week I will work regular, like 8 hours, and the last week I will probably work 14, 15 hours, and I will sleep just 4 or 5 hours a day.
Yeah.
And that's my work. And probably after that I will have 5 or maybe just a week off. So it's not bad. I can arrange my work, but I cannot arrange it at all, because there is a penciler before me.
Robbie, I'm only 25 years old. This is what inking did to me.
All right, Robbie, here's what we're going to do. Mike, final thoughts before we bring Robbie back into the studio.
Well, I think this is just fascinating, because this is also a piece of the process that generally most people don't even think about. Like, you never think about, the inking in this. You just look at the page and you're like, this looks fantastic. And it's all, partially because of what he's doing right now, plus the colorists and the
Mike, did you
pencil
just
and everything.
insult our two guests and say we don't think about you that much?
But you don't, when you're looking at the page, you're like, this page just looks great. You don't think, oh, he spent 7 hours on this. You're just like, this looks
and
good.
you know what? I always say that to my friend. If an inker is good, you don't have to notice him. If an inker is bad, you will notice him. So
Yeah, that's good, man.
it's something I want to say always.
Oh, wait.
And I already say that to Buddy. It's like a drummer or maybe the person who used the bass in a
rock band?
in a rock band. You don't have to notice him too much, but you need it.
Yep.
All right, here's what we're going to do, Robbie. I'm going to put you backstage for a minute, and then you reset your camera, and we're going to have you come back on camera, okay?
Yep.
Oh, wait, you have a fan. Hold on. Your fan, Matteo Stanzani, says, go, Robbie, go. What's the superhero you love inking the most?
Me? Probably Deadpool.
Probably Deadpool. Well,
Yeah.
That's a good choice. I was thinking about getting back to writing Deadpool again, so maybe I'll give both you. What? Oh, is it possible to see before pencils and inks? And I'm going to show you. You're going to be able to follow Robbie. I'm going to pull up the Instagram accounts where he does post a lot of before and after. So I'm pulling him out of here. That was. It's a little close. That was great. Mark, by the way, thank you so much. I mean, you really brought this to life for all of us. I mean, it was just... I pride myself on knowing everything, Mark. Thinking.
So, I know you a little bit. You're not lying. No.
No one ever said that. Like, modesty was my best feature, because it's true. But Mark, when you're looking at another inker work, are you saying I would make the same choice, or that was an interesting choice? I mean, I know it was a little hard to see, but I know that you've seen other people do their work either in Artist Alley or in the bullpen. What thoughts are going through your mind when you watch another inker?
One of the things I'll tell you is, when you come into the business, you look at the different talent. You're trying to figure out, who do I want to be, as an artist, an ink artist. And I was a big fan of Brian Boland's Judge Dredd, or John Beatty ink and Zek on Captain America. And I met Joe Rubenstein, and I tried doing backgrounds, and he was more like a Neil Adams kind of a guy. I never really understood the cross hatching kind of thing to make a muscle. It was not where my heart lied. So, you kind of follow patterns of guys that you idolize, or, wanted to, work like them. And then somehow you kind of pull your own style out of that, but
now, Mark, I have a question for you. Well, actually, let's pull Robbie back in. Robbie, thank you so much for being such a good sport. We should note, Robbie, you're dialing in. It's 2:30, almost 3 in the morning there in Italy, right?
Yeah, 2:40. But it's okay.
Thank you so much for coming on and doing this. There are some additional comments that have come in. Let me just pull these up. Who's the fastest inker that you know of? Mark, why don't you go first? Who's the fastest inker in the biz?
Well, it used to be Vinny Coletta, but that was because he was doing 3 pages of Spider-Man a day and then sending to me to do backgrounds.
So he wasn't the fastest inker. He was just the guy that turned in the pages fast.
The fastest turn-in pager guy. Yeah, that's what I would say.
All right. How about you, Robbie? Do you know who the fastest inker working is?
Oh, it's for sure not me.
So, all right, for sure
I think
not you.
Probably Wade von Bragder is a really fast one.
Wade von Grauberger,
and he's an amazing, great inker.
He's good too, yeah. He's very good.
All right, so you have a fan here. Sean Chen, famed penciler, says, "Go, Robbie, like you're at a Moroccan belly dancing club with a huge platter on your head." That is definitely an inside joke. But I know there are photos of Robbie in a Moroccan nightclub with a drink tray on his head, so we know that is true. Jared Elvin says, "Awesome work, Robbie." We agree that was awesome. Now, Jared had also asked, "Is it possible to see before and after?" And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up first where you can follow Robbie. Robbie is very active on Instagram. We say your name Poggi. What's the right way to say your last name?
Poggi.
Poggi. All right. So hold on. Let me pull you up big. If you're going to show something, let me.
But everybody call me Poggi, so it's okay. If you want to see from pencil to ink, I have a commission. I did a few. Oh, sorry. Let me try to make.
You're doing
that's
good.
Good. Yeah, that's good. Looks good.
That's the pencil one.
Okay.
And that's the inks one. So
oh wow,
you can see I did something. Oh, let me try to remember. I tried to arrange the eyes. Oh, that's a zombie Spider-Man. So you can see what I did from the zombie part. And
wow, that's a pretty amazing.
This is easier.
Pretty faithful.
So sometimes an inker have to arrange some lines to make that more understandable. Even in the bullet hole. And what else?
I see it in the hair. I see the detail in the hair.
Yeah, the hair.
Mark had
and
talked
even
about
the spider. The spider.
Yeah. Oh yeah, even the spider. Yeah, I see it there.
So sometimes the pencil are not so understandable, and an inker have to make that more understandable, but trying to not change the style.
You missed a fly, though, I noticed.
Yeah.
All right, so Robbie, you post pretty frequently on Instagram. Is that that's the place where people should follow you?
Yep, I'm trying to post more and more because right now it's crazy, but everybody is around the social media, so we have to do it.
All right, now Mark, you also are on the socials. By the way, Mark, hold on, let's pull up the applause. Mark, thank you so much for the commentary. And Mark, it was a great sport, Mike. I just kind of asked him on Instagram and just randomly he asked what he was doing, and I kind of didn't have an answer because we've never done this before. So, Mark, you kind of made the prototype for the show.
I'm happy to get it over with. Don't ask me again.
All right, so they can follow you on McKinks.
Thanks for fixing that for me. Yeah.
There you go. So, Mark, what are you mostly posting on Instagram these days?
I'm working. I just did a Kickstarter, and I raised about $5,700 to do a new horror book that I'm actually not even. I'm just playing publisher with this. I hired 4 art teams who are doing 4 8-page stories. Along the EC, both the horror, Tales of the Crypt stuff.
Now, I think we have some of the more recent stuff here, Mark. Is this what you're talking about?
Yeah, the Sean McManus did the one on the left. He did a wrap cover, and see the K McKenna in there. That's people thought I misspelled my name, but actually that's my son. Wrote his first story. Kyle wrote his first story called Big Head. It's hilarious, and you can get a hint of the big head on the bottom of the one page. It's creepy as all hell and funny too.
So you got this one, and then what's this other one?
And that's the base cover. The McManus cover with the little jester with a blue thing over his head. That's the variant cover. Dario Carrasco did pencils on the other cover, and Dario and I worked on the North Star miniseries back in 1994 for Marvel.
Wow.
Yeah, he's really good. He's probably my most polished pro on the book. Everybody else. Franco Cespedes is a guy I met in Costa Rica 6 years ago. My son-in-law, Brandon Matunis, his brother is Jamie Matunis. He's down below there, and it's just a lot of fun,
And
you know.
then
Getting
you gave me one other here,
yeah,
some sort of rock and roll vampire.
yes, rock and roll vampire guy gets bit on his VR arm, his virtual reality device by a vampire and turns into a rock and roll vampire. I'm doing this for Blue Shack Comics, which is a small guy. Guy has a budget and spent the money, so we're supposed to do 6 issues. We're 3 in so far.
Well, it looks great, and people should follow you on Instagram, and you also have a website. Let me just show that real quick here, Mark, because I'm good like that.
Thank you.
I'm going to present Mike vamp for a minute while I try to pull up.
Well, what I would really like to see is, I mean, Robbie would have to do this, is to film the 7 hours or whatever of you inking it, and then, you know, run it on Instagram or whatever in like just a short span of time, so you could see how it progresses the entire time.
Oh, cool.
What?
Yeah.
That actually sounds great, and I love that we're so generous with Robbie's time.
Yeah, because you know he's doing it anyway. Might as well.
He's doing the work anyway. I know, Robbie, I think that's great, and if you wanted to do anything of that nature, we would most certainly be happy to run it. This is Robbie's Instagram page. He has lots of inking demos. That's a picture of me and Robbie together, sharing a beer. But there's a lot of great stuff on this page. There is Robbie. I met him in Morocco. He was
you can see the final page. That the one I was inking.
Where is it?
Oh, the Spider-Man one?
Two blocks from
down,
the
you're
one
down.
he was talking about.
This one?
There it is on the left there. Yep. Is that it? No, that's not it.
That was a different one.
The other side. The other side. No. Right and right. That
there it is. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, this is the one.
Oh wow! You this is great. I didn't even realize that this was what you were drawing. I thought this was Ghost Rider. This is a dead person in a grave.
Yeah. So you can see the final result.
You actually did some different rendering on there. I see now.
Yeah, I was just doing that to showing you something, because I can't ink pages from Marvel in a direct in a live.
I won't tell on you.
You won't tell.
Marvel doesn't watch this.
That's all right. Nobody watches this. All right, and then the last but certainly not least, we'll show Mark McKenna, and this is Mark's current Instagram. Mark, you had a pretty active following on Facebook, and then you kind of rebooted, I guess, right?
Yeah, I just lost control of it. People were talking other languages to me. I didn't really get it, so started over. A lot of my posts are at Comic Cons and, just current artwork. Gets a little, as you know, probably, right? You run some Kickstarters, buddy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough when you start telling, every day promoting a Kickstarter. I think people get tired of it real fast after a while.
They certainly do. But tonight, nobody got tired of this. This live inking demo with you, Roberto, and with you, Mark, was just terrific. We do have one more part of the show that we do with every one of the people who join us. I'm going to pull that up. And we have a question that we ask. And then we're going to start with you, Mark. We're going to ask you to give us one piece of advice that you wish you would have received earlier in your career. So as I stumble over my words, let me get this all set up again, and we'll ask you again. Mark, what is one piece of advice you wish you had received earlier in your career?
Probably when I met the guidance counselor in high school, and he told, and I met the film chairman at the School of Visual Arts. He told me the chances of me getting a job. I was going to be a filmmaker, and he said the chances of me getting a job in film were astronomical, like 10,000 to 1. And I bailed on film, which is probably smart in hindsight, because he told me that you have to have some really heavy intestinal fortitude to become a filmmaker. And I didn't have it. I was scared, and I went into animation, and I was an animation major for 2 years. And then I eventually turned around, met Sal Almondola, who was the new talent coordinator at DC, brought me up to the offices and started me in the right direction. But I want to say, don't listen to listen to your heart, right? But I listened to the film chairman instead.
That was actually, you took good advice. You took good advice. All right, Robbie, I'm going to move you up here in the top right corner, and we're going to zoom in on you. Oops, let's do it like this. Robbie, what is one piece of advice you wish you had received earlier in your career?
So never stop working and improving, and never stop thinking. Oh, this is difficult to explain. Never stop not thinking, dreaming as a child. I mean, when you're young, you dream and a lot of stuff, and when you grow up, you start dreaming less because the life make you being more inside the work, and you don't have to stop having that kind of kindness of childhood dreaming in your mind, because that kind of stuff make you working better and make you hit more goals that you can hit without that part of childhood in your heart.
I like it. Thank you so much. That's really good, Robbie. That's a good piece of advice. Now, guys, we're going to ask Mike. Mike, where should they follow us on social media? Do you know where our account is?
Comicbookschool.com?
Comicbookschool.com. I was just curious if you knew where our social media
I've been
was.
there, I think, once.
Yeah. All right, good. All right, here's what we're going to do, guys. We're going to put Mark and Roberto in the green room. Mike, what kind of food is waiting in the green room for Roberto and Mark?
We've got some vegetable pasta waiting back there.
What, do you not like these guys? Usually we have like Twizzlers.
It's vegetable pasta. It's good. It's tasty. They need, Roberto's got to keep his strength up. He's got like 15 hours of work to do.
I got an MRI on my prostate coming Friday.
So you're going to eat the vegetable pasta. All right, guys, don't go away, because we and don't do anything like pick your nose or anything, because we might pull you back in if we have a question. But once again, thank you so much, Roberto Poggi and Mark McKenna. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We really, really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Mike, you want to give them a round of applause? All right, so we're gonna put them in. We're gonna put them in the room. That was crazy, huh?
That was pretty neat. I would really, really like to have watched him do that whole thing. Although 7 hours is a long time to ink.
It would be a very long show.
Yeah. People would tune in though. But yeah, I really do think the idea of him filming himself doing it and then speeding it up 10 times or whatever, so just so you could watch him do it super fast would be great.
And I think that is something we should work toward, Mike. Really, not kidding. Oh, wait, hold on. Thank you, Mark, and thank you, Robbie. Thanks, buddy, and Mike. That was excellent. Wow, you got everybody in. Thank you, Jared, for getting everybody in. We like Jared's a good artist, so we like Jared. So I think this was a super interesting and informative show. Something that, thanks to Mark McKenna. Mark, thank you, Mark, for being our first commentator. And Robbie, thanks for being a good sport at 2 a.m. Are you going to go back to bed now?
Yeah, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Think you're going to go back to bed, or do you have more work to do?
No. I will work tomorrow morning. Because tomorrow morning I have to drive my kid into the school, so I will probably sleep just 3 or 4 hours, and then I will start working again.
Oh boy.
That's ridiculous. Well,
That's
we thank you. That's crazy, Mike. Do you realize the dedication that he showed for the Comic Book School Live audience? So I hope everybody follows them on the social medias. And let's see, what's the thing? So we did the one piece of advice. Follow our guests. You can follow our guests on their Instagram accounts. Feel free to take a picture of this. Mike, we want everybody to like, comment, and subscribe. We thank everybody for joining us and being part of this. Making it a live show makes it awesome. And we will see you next Tuesday for Comic Book School Live. We'll see you soon, guys.